Ukrainian soldiers traveling in the vehicle ambushed by a Russian FPV drone. The drone was on the road waiting for the soldiers to pass. Ukrainian soldiers tried to shoot down the drone but failed. The drone began to follow them. They try to get away from the drone as fast as they can in a panic. But the drone is faster than the vehicle. But luckily, the Russian FPV drone missed its target. Ukrainian soldiers narrowly escaped the attack. Ukraine's 414th Hungarian Birds UAV Brigade identified a Russian soldier attempting to move across Ukrainian positions in the Zaporizhia region. An FPV drone was immediately deployed in response. Upon noticing the drone, the Russian soldier attempted to engage it, but the response came too late. This time, Russian soldiers came under the surveillance of Ukrainian drones. While advancing in a vehicle, they were close to being targeted in a drone ambush. However, one of the Russian soldiers successfully intercepted the drone, narrowly preventing the attack. Ukrainian warplanes launched a powerful strike on Russian military facilities in the Kursk region using GBU-62 guided munitions. According to Ukrainian military intelligence, these buildings were identified as unmanned aerial vehicle (UAV) control centers. After detecting enemy personnel entering the buildings, the Ukrainian Air Force initiated the strike. The guided bombs inflicted significant damage on the targeted structures within a short period of time. Reconnaissance drones identified a group of Russian soldiers among abandoned buildings in the Kherson region. In response, Ukrainian mortar units were activated and delivered accurate fire toward the enemy positions, effectively targeting the area. After the first explosion, Russian infantrymen attempted to flee the area. However, a series of precise and successive strikes by Ukrainian mortar units prevented them from reaching cover, effectively halting their movement. Russian military unmanned ground vehicles are being monitored by aerial reconnaissance drones. Specialized units are approaching these robotic platforms with precision, using FPV drones designed for direct engagement. Once locked onto the target, the drone operator executes a series of calculated maneuvers before initiating the strike. Moments later, a powerful detonation engulfs the area. The Russian army's robotic ground vehicle disappears into the dense cloud of smoke caused by the blast. Following an assessment by a reconnaissance drone, it has been confirmed that the target has been completely neutralized. Motorcycle assault units affiliated with the Russian military have initiated an operation in the Donetsk region. However, shortly after their advance, a strong counteraction was carried out against the group. As a result, the opposing motorcyclists have dispersed and are now spread across the surrounding area. Ukraine's Spartan units executed a well-coordinated operation. Both unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, and artillery units worked in unison to maximize effectiveness. During the operation, Russian assault units were observed maneuvering around the village either on foot or using motorcycles. However, Ukraine's reconnaissance drones identified this movement in its early stages. Once the targets were confirmed, Ukrainian FPV drone operators and artillery units initiated a coordinated response on the designated positions. In the initial phase, FPV drones were deployed to engage the advancing units with precision. This was followed by artillery fire targeting elements attempting to take cover or withdraw from the surrounding area. Russian infantry units are advancing on foot toward Ukrainian positions in the Sumy region. In response, Ukrainian forces have prepared a large-scale defensive operation aimed at countering the advancing units. Two separate units within the Ukrainian armed forces were conducting a coordinated maneuver. Enemy personnel were being monitored by observation drones and engaged through precision FPV drone strikes. As a result of the initial FPV drone strike on the advancing enemy personnel, disarray followed, and they scattered in multiple directions. However, Ukrainian forces had anticipated this reaction. Understanding that the first strike would likely cause dispersion, they had deployed drones equipped with advanced surveillance systems. This strategic move allowed for more effective tracking and identification of enemy positions in the aftermath of the initial engagement. Russian soldiers quickly dispersed across the terrain. However, the operation they faced was highly intense and well-coordinated. FPV drones, along with aerial platforms equipped with precision payloads, conducted successive strikes on the advancing personnel. Although some Russian soldiers attempted to take cover in wooded areas, thermal imaging systems were able to detect body heat signatures almost immediately. Additionally, the hurried and uncoordinated movements made it easier to identify their positions. The intensity of explosion sounds in the area escalated with each passing minute. As a result of these sustained and focused strikes, the Ukrainian forces successfully neutralized a significant number of opposing personnel. Ukrainian forces are employing coordinated attacks to eliminate enemy targets with maximum efficiency and speed. During one such advance toward Ukrainian positions, enemy personnel operating a tank were intercepted by Ukrainian FPV drones. Upon detection, the crew abandoned the armored vehicle and attempted to take cover in a nearby wooded area. However, Ukrainian forces responded in a highly coordinated manner, launching simultaneous strikes on both the armored vehicle and the personnel attempting to take cover. This decisive action prevented the enemy soldiers from returning to the vehicle. As a result of the joint effort, the armored unit was rendered inoperable, and the personnel involved were effectively neutralized. Sometimes, the absence of a loud explosion does not diminish the effectiveness of an operation. Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles deployed improvised incendiary munitions on Russian positions. These strikes ignited fires within enemy trenches, damaging equipment and rendering it inoperable. The incendiary munitions proved especially effective in targeting camouflaged positions in wooded areas. The Signum drone team, operating under the Ukrainian armed forces, tracked a vehicle belonging to opposing forces. It was identified as a UAZ 39094 type transport truck. The vehicle was heavily loaded, carrying both personnel inside and a full tank of fuel. The second target was the famous Russian Bohunka minibus. It had reached a checkpoint but did not leave. After the attack, the vehicle was reduced to ashes, a one-time transportation story. The third target was a speeding Niva. It tried to escape, looking fast and determined, but it was too slow for the drone's targeting system. The drone fatally cut off the speeding ticket. The final scene featured a Kamaz truck hidden deep within a dense pine forest. Interestingly, a hammock was set up right next to it. Perhaps a soldier was resting there, dreaming of escape or capture. But the Ukrainian drones had other plans. Instead of arrest, they offered him a one-way vacation ticket. No return. Reconnaissance drones detect Russian soldiers moving without restriction on Ukrainian territory. One of the opposing soldiers appears to believe he is operating safely within familiar terrain. However, an FPV loitering drone is closing in on his position. The drone operator carefully guides the system toward the target. Just as the drone is about to strike, the soldier makes a sudden move. The FPV executes several rapid aerial maneuvers, disorienting the soldier. The infantryman immediately requests support via radio. The drone operator locks onto the target and initiates a rapid strike. Caught off guard, the soldier attempts to evade, but the drone delivers a decisive impact, effectively neutralizing the threat. A powerful detonation followed. The drone was equipped with high-impact munitions, designed for maximum effectiveness. This precise strike neutralized the opposing soldier in a single action. Ukrainian forces remain actively deployed in conflict zones, working continuously to ensure that no unauthorized presence remains on Ukrainian territory. The teams operate with constant vigilance and mobility. The Ukrainian Air Force targeted a strategic site within Russian territory, a drone operations center. Inside, operators were stationed at their desks, surrounded by shelves holding ammunition boxes, charging equipment, and FPV components integrated with explosive payloads. All of this was intended to carry out hostile actions against Ukrainian forces. Ukrainian jets approached in a silent descent. For precision-guided air munitions were released onto the facility. Within seconds, powerful detonations followed. The first strike severely damaged the structure, while the second triggered the ammunition storage, causing a massive blaze that illuminated the night sky. The objective was completely neutralized.